And for my first deck of the new Battle Styles format, I'll be taking a look at Victini VMAX. While it doesn't have the damage potential of Centiskorch VMAX, Victini VMAX can essentially one-shot every single Pokemon V in the game with max victory. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon V, that also includes VMAX. This attack does 120 more damage. So even without weakness, you're knocking out Zacian V, and max victory just does 220. I mean, Wailord V has 280, so you're not knocking that out, but pretty much every Pokemon V has 220 or less. And I mean, you got Victini V in the deck that has 190. Obviously, I'm going to use the one from Sword and Shield base set. That one has Spreading Flames and Energy Burst. The new one, let's see if I can get it here, with the V Bullet, that does 60 damage. That's not good. Flare Shot does 120, but you have to discard all energy. That's not good. So the Sword and Shield one, that is the one you want to go with. And yeah, Victini VMAX, it can't do more than 220 damage, whereas Centiskorch, doesn't have a damage cap, but it only costs 2 energy. For 2 energy, you can do 220 damage. It's really fast. It's really good. So let's just see what it does. Elsewhere, I pretty much just threw this deck list together at the last minute because for some reason, Battle Style cards are super inflated. Cards are always hyper inflated when new sets first come out, but Battle Styles, it's really crazy out there. I even had to trade my Secret Rare Quick Ball just to get the Victini VMAX, and my Secret Rare Quick Ball is worth like 150 packs, so that tells you how much Victini VMAX is worth right now. And being that it's a Welder deck, you have your usual suspects. You have Heatran, you have Reshiram, you have a Cramorant to help pick off anything that runs away to the bench. Volcanion I included because, again, it's a fire deck. You should probably have Volcanion in it. Flesh Starter is great. But the cool thing with Victini is that with the 2 energy attack cost, you don't really need Volcanion, and you can go first because Welder isn't super important. And then obviously I put in the Mewtwo and Mew because I figured everyone's going to be playing Urshifu. So if I run into Urshifu, I'll just build this up, and instead of Heatran or Reshiram, I'll just use Mewtwo and Mew. I got 2 Crobat, 2 Dedenne just for consistency. And then I added in the Fan of Waves, put a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon on the bottom of their deck. So that is for the Coating Metal energy that removes the fire weakness. So it's just a good card to help you against like Lucario Metal. And then yeah, the trainer split, these could all be changed. I put the heat energy in here because Victini VMAX only has 310 HP. So I just wanted to help beef that up a little bit, but I don't know if it's completely necessary. I'm sure I'll notice a bunch of issues with counts in the list and cards that are missing, like maybe PokeGear should be in the list, maybe I don't need Mewtwo and Mew, maybe I don't need Cramorant. But I just want to know, right now with Battle Styles just coming out, is Victini VMAX better than Centiskorch VMAX? Alright, so this is a very interesting starting hand. Obviously, I'll put the Volcanion out there. So this is why I decided to include Volcanion, even though you can go first with this deck and you're totally fine. Obviously, Volcanion... Oh, there. Okay, I think this is ADP. They play the Great Catcher. I'm pretty sure this is ADP. I faced ADP in my one test match. I had time for one test match. I faced ADP, and it was a victory because they started Aegislash, and then I just knocked out Zacian and Mawile. So what can actually happen here? If I want to get really crazy, I could just knock this out turn 1 with a Heatran, but I think I'll probably use the turn to set up. And I'll probably bosses like a Dedenne or no, because I want to keep the Zacian in the active. It really depends what they go and get. Because if Zacian's in the active, they can't Metal Saucer to it. If they can't Metal Saucer to it, they can't Energy Switch to the ADP. But I don't play any way of removing energy. That's one of the benefits of Centiskorch V is that its first attack for a single energy discards energy. So you can slow down an ADP deck. Okay, so I will use boss's orders, most likely. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee they're going to use Altered Creation. And if I just focus on... Okay, so the Volcanion's a big mistake here, because if I put the Victini VMAX down, that's bad. I mean, they're probably going to get a water energy. I think now, what do? I can't knock out the ADP. Could knock that out. Sure, let's do that. Thin that out of there. Get 2 cards. I guess I will... Alright, so a Quick Ball. I think Victini VMAX will come into play at some point. So I don't want to get rid of my second one because I didn't check to see if I had another one. So I'll go get the bosses. I think it's worth getting the Victini V right now. I could get Mewtwo and Mew because they can't knock that out. I could get Reshiram because that would be really good. but they're all worth 4 prizes anyway. I think I'll just Welder to the Victini. See what happens. You know, this is... if I hadn't started the Volcanion, this could have been a really good game for me. But I started the Volcanion, so that's not great. And I think I will bench the Victini. I will Flare Starter. One there. One there. One there. So as long as they don't Marnie me, I will Bosses the Zacian. I'll knock it out with Volcanion. They will knock out the Volcanion with ADP, or they might Bosses one of my Victinis on the bench. I'm assuming I'm going to get Mawile at some point, but it's a little unfortunate that my first game on video with Victini VMAX is kind of a letdown, and it's against ADP. ADP doesn't really get anything from battle styles. You can play Fan of Waves if you want. You can play Escape Rope, that's fun, but I mean ADP pre-battle styles is pretty much the same as post-battle styles, and there's Zamazenta. I mean, that's totally fine. So I have game. I can just knock out a Zacian, I can knock out a Zamazenta, and then I can knock out a Crobat or a Dedenne. I do play Great Catcher. So the Zamazenta, that is... I don't care. Yes, a VMAX can't hurt it, but everything else can hurt it. So I will evolve there. And I don't want to put the Cramorant down, because I want them to have to knock out my Volcanion, my Victini, and my Victini VMAX. So I think what I'll do is I'll just knock out the Zacian. They'll have a Zamazenta, so I think I should attach to the Victini. And the reason I'm targeting the Zacian, I'll explain that in 1 second. So I'll attach to the Victini V. Yeah, I won't put the Hearth down, that doesn't make sense. So High Heat Blast. They will probably Ultimate Ray that because I doubt they're playing Vitality Band. There's Heatran, so this is... If my opponent has a Mawile, this would be the perfect hand of Mawile. And unfortunately, there's nothing I could do. But the reason I targeted Zacian is because that's the better attacker. It does 260, so that's a 2-shot on my Victini VMAX. Zamazenta V is a 3-shot on my Victini VMAX, so obviously I want that to survive. And I am not worried about this thing going after my Victini V, because if they attach a single energy to Zamazenta, I can use... What is it? Energy Burst. 30 damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, so I just need 4 energy. Yeah, okay. Whoa, what are they doing? Are they going after VMAX? Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting play. So I guess they just did that to power up the Zamazenta. So what I could do is if I get the right cards... Okay, this isn't the right cards. So... My options here, I think I put the Heatran down and I just knock out the ADP and then they can't really win. Because, yeah, they're down 3 Metal Saucers, so I think the Heatran's just game over for them. Because, I mean, what can they do? So I need 50, 100, 150. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, so how much energy do I need on this thing? 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, and I think I keep the energy... on the Victini, so yeah, so that's 300, that's a knockout on the ADP. I think I froze the game, there we go. Okay, so I want to keep the Hearth because that would be good. I'll Crobat here just to see if I get anything I need. Actually, I guess I should put the... No, I think I should just hold on to everything. I think... Yeah, here's what I'll do. I'll go get the Marshadow, I'll bump the Chaotic Swell, I'll put the Hearth down, and then I'll Marnie, and then I have Cramorant and Dedenne. Okay, this is tough. Maybe I should have prepared my bench base a little better, because if I put Cramorant down, I can just knock out Dedenne for game, but if they reset stamp me, I don't think they're playing reset stamp, but they could reset stamp me, and then I don't really have an answer, but they'll have to knock something out. Yeah, I'll put the Cramorant down. Let's put the Cramorant down. So the Cramorant, that's why I put it in here, is it can knock out Dedenne. That's always fun. I have Great Catcher. Okay, so I think I want the Research. I'll get rid of that. I have 2 energy. I'm going to need my my 1 Fire Crystal. So maybe I made a mistake here. So let's just attach that there and put that put that... Sure, let's put it there. Give them a hot burn. Let's see what happens. So I don't think... I mean, they're going to need a whole... Okay, there we go. I don't know why they didn't just concede earlier. Can I see their deck list? I can. So yeah, there's nothing brand new from Battle Styles in here. So what you saw was the deck pretty much doing what it's supposed to do. You have all these different attackers. Victini VMAX has 310 HP. ADP cannot one-shot that unless they do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Cramorant picks off Dedenne-GX or anything that ran to the bench. So it's really good. Reshiram didn't even make an appearance. Let's go to the next game and see what happens. Alright, so I won the coin flip. I will choose to go first just to prove that this deck can go first. And I don't know what is going on, but I'm getting the worst starting hands. Would have been nice to get an energy or something, but I guess I'll just get a Victini V and do nothing. Oh wow, okay, so it's Eternatus. This should be interesting. Because if I can get a Victini V and an energy, that's not what I wanted. There's an energy. Okay, that's perfect. So I think I'm in a good spot here. I will put the Victini VMAX back in because this might be a bad situation for me. So I'll go get Victini V. Not really a whole lot else I want to do because they can knock out the Reshiram Charizard. Another thing is the Big Charm. Big Charm would be good in this deck. And I'll do that. So they can, if I switch into Victini, that is bad. Because they would Power Accelerator. They do 30 damage. That would put me at 280. They're just a Zigzagoon ping away from doing that. So unfortunately, I will not be switching. They can't knock out the Marshadow unless they get 2 Zigzagoons down because Marshadow is weak to Dark. So that should be fine. I put in the Escape Rope because Escape Rope is back in Standard with Battle Styles. Same with Experience, Share, and Level Ball. So it's nice to see those cards back in the game. And of course they hit a Crushing Hammer. I was just about to talk about how great Victini VMAX is because if I just had 2 energy on a VMAX, I would have just been able to knock out the Eternatus V. But of course they go and get rid of my energy. And they didn't have anything. So if I can get a Hearth or something, so I will just switch. And then I think it is better to get rid of the Mewtwo and Mew because I would have... I mean, is it really worth it? It's weak to Psychic. They don't have anything that's weak to Psychic. Reshiram. I could use Hot Burn, and that way... No. I will go get... I'll go get Crobat. This is all going to work out. I'm going to get either a Hearth or 2 energy, and then I'm going to Welder into a Victini VMAX. And that is literally nothing that I needed. Well, I mean, the Fire Crystal. That... I need a lot off of this Welder, that's for sure. So Spreading Flames, and I got the Victini VMAX. I did not get anything else. I guess I just switch into the Marshadow. So I can't use that. I can't do that. That is just super unfortunate. I play 12 energy in the deck. I mean, I could Hot Burn for 50 damage. That doesn't seem great. If I let them take a prize card, that's bad. I think I just have to... Actually, I think Escape Rope makes the most sense because it requires them to have an extra card. They have to have a Switch card in addition to an Energy and in addition to an Eternatus VMAX. So I think Escape Rope just makes the most sense. And then I'll put the Air Balloon there. That's a pass. And with Fan of Waves, if they attach a Hiding Energy or a Capture Energy, I can put the energy back into their deck. But what I wanted to talk about with Victini VMAX is that it has a 2 energy attack cost, 1 fire, 1 colorless. It does 220 damage. Oh. So post-rotation, Victini VMAX is poised to be the best fire deck. They put an Absol down, they put an Eternatus. What? Oh, wow. Okay, they had a great turn. So with only 2 energy attack costs, you do 220 damage. I mean, yes, you lose Welder in rotation in August. Oh man, they just had everything. Oh, please don't tell me they just get it all. Okay, well, there's an energy. But with Max Victory, 2 energy, 220 damage, you knock out every V. It's just really poised to do well. Centiskorch is going to miss Welder because it helps with the explosiveness. Victini VMAX, you can just use Turbo Patch. You can use BD if you really have to. There's a whole bunch of options. I mean, if you just go first, You just manually attach turn 1, manually attach Evolve turn 2, and then you're doing max victory. Like, if I would have just grabbed an energy, I would have knocked out the Return to V with the energy on it, and then they would be on the back foot. They might have even conceded. I just got a bum draw, 9 times out of 10, you get that energy. I just didn't get the energy. So, but the good news is we're both having difficult times right now. Hopefully they just don't got it like that. But I really like Victini VMAX post-rotation because Zacian V is going to be huge come September. Zacian V is going to be massive. Zamazenta V is going to be really good as well. So being able to play a fire deck post-rotation is going to be huge. And right on cue. Okay, so my options here are kind of limited. If I put the Heatran down, I think I have to, unfortunately, lose the Fan of Waves. I got to research. I got to be able to have a good turn, so I'm not getting prize cards. That is fun. Okay, so Victini. The Hearth, I don't think... Well, I can Hearth away the Great Catcher. That's completely unnecessary. But if they Marnie me, then all of my fire energy is on the bottom of my deck. So I think what I do is Hearth away the Great Catcher just because it's going to be completely useless. Just get 1 energy. And then I think that should be okay. And then now I'll use Max Victory. So this is good if I can top deck a Welder or something. If I top deck a Welder, I'm in a great position. If I don't top deck a Welder, I'm in a horrible position. If they play, maybe I should have gotten rid of the Marshadow because, yeah, if they're just going to go for Zigzagoon, I'm in huge trouble right now. Because the way the prize trade is going to work out is I want them to knock out Victini VMAX, and then Heatran, and then Victini VMAX, or Reshizard if I bring out Reshizard. Reshizard would be pretty good. So if I leave this Marshadow, then they just have to knock out Victini VMAX and Heatran for game. So I need to get rid of this thing as soon as possible. And there is the Marnie. Please, Marnie, get me a Welder, and I don't even care how many energies. Get me an energy. And if my opponent decides to bump my Hearth, I would be very sad. Oh, how is my hand worse? Okay. Don't get double goons. Okay, good. So what'll happen here is the Cramorant can knock that out, but I don't have a Welder. So this is why PokeGear, I think this is why you have to play PokeGear, because you don't need Welder to win with Victini VMAX. It just makes your deck more consistent and more good. So I think PokeGear is needed. I don't know necessarily if Marshadow is. Chaotic Swell is just, I hate Chaotic Swell. Oh, perfect. Welder. Damn it. Okay. Well, Volcanion isn't really necessary. And I can't even knock out the Yveltal, which is kind of sad. I could Flare Starter. I could Beat Catch. This is horrible. How did they Barney me into a worse hand? Okay, so I think I need to buy some time. I'm having some trouble thinking here, so if I Beat Catch, they just knock it out with Eternatus, but I get what I need, but they could just Marnie me. How many Marnie have they played? They've played the 1 Marnie. If I Volcanion, I can get an energy, but that doesn't really... That just gives them a prize card. So I think at this point, I can't attack with Heatran. I think I just have to get rid of the Marshadow. Do that. Put the Hearth down. Sure. Let's get rid of the Volcanion. I think that makes sense. 1, 2. I have to... Hang on. I should have probably put more energy in the discard. That would have made sense. Putting energy in the discard, if I had a chance, would have done that. So I'm just in a horrible position. I think I sacked the Crobat? Because this is the one downside to Victini, is that Max Victory does 100 damage. Maybe I should play a Zigzagoon or something, but I think I have to sack the Crobat and just hope that the next turn is really good. But I think you're seeing the potential of the deck. I'm going to keep this game in the video because it showed the problems with the deck is that a VMAX Pokemon can only do 100 damage, And that's not enough to knock out this Yveltal, which is kind of sad. But I think just the potential of the deck, if I just had one card at the right time, if I would just gotten that energy at the beginning, I'd be totally fine. If I would have had a Welder here, that would have been, I wouldn't have been totally fine, but I could have knocked out this Yveltal. I could have done it with Heatran, but I would lose all my energy. But that would put me at 1 and then 3, so then I just need to knock out a Crobat. But I think, I was just one card away from having a really good turn. 2 turns in a row. So that's the potential of the deck. I think PokeGear is definitely needed, but another cool thing about Victini is that you don't need to play Welder. You could play Tapu Koko Prism Star, and there's Power Plant, so I don't have Dedenne, that's bad. But you can just play Tapu Koko. So you can just manually attach, use Tapu Koko, and you're totally fine. Okay. So this is bad. And they're going after my Victini V probably. Oh, they're going after Victini VMAX. All right. So what's their boss's count? I know the Tapu Koko. Oh, wow. Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. Okay, so max victory. But I know that's a little bit crazy saying, oh, just use Tapu Koko Prism Star and no Welder in a fire deck. But it's another option. If you want to play Turbo Patch, go for it. If you don't like relying on Welder and you want to have more of a toolbox deck, go for it. You could play Aurora Energy with Mewtwo and Mew and chuck in a Victini VMAX because, some decks were already playing Victini V just for spreading flames and because Energy Burst is pretty good. So you can just chuck in a Victini VMAX anyways. But, there's a bunch of ways to play it. Obviously, this wasn't the best game. Hopefully the next game, I'll do one more game. Hopefully it's a little bit better. And yeah, they were just preparing for a Spiritomb play because Spiritomb is really good at just helping finish off those tougher targets. And one more Heat Energy or a Big Charm and I would have been fine. But I think this is the end of the road because there's not a whole lot I can do here. They have 2 damage to turn his VMAX that if I could just find a way to knock those out, and I don't have it, so that is a concede, and I will go to game 3. You know what? I won the game where I went second, so let's go second. Let's see what happens. Starting a Mewtwo and Mew, that is not great. But I am going second, so we'll see what happens. Maybe I top deck a Victini V or something, or a Volcanion. That'd be pretty amazing if I top decked a Volcanion, and please tell me this is not Eternatus. Oh, that's a Great Ball. It's Eternatus. Alright, so it's revenge time against Eternatus. And while they're doing all their crazy stuff, I will mention that I'm doing the 1,000 pack opening and giveaway probably mid-April, beginning of April. It really depends when Battle Styles packs settle because I want to open 25 to 50 Battle Styles, 25 to 50 Shining Fates, and then at least one pack from every other set on PTCGO. I did manage to find a double Crisis pack. Had to pay, I think, 7 packs for it, which is way too much. And then Dragon Vault's like 15 to 20 to 30, depending who's selling it. So I'm well on my way to getting 1,000 packs. It's going to be a big opening. I'll be giving away all the cards except for the ones that are worth, more than like 10, 15 packs. I'll have to decide when I do it. But yeah. Mid-April, subscribe, and you'll be ready for it. Okay, so I don't want to do that. It has a 2 retreat cost, right? So let's do that. Hope that I get Volcanion and an Energy and another basic. Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty much everything I wanted. So I'll put the Heatran down. This isn't a great turn 1, but I'll take it. I've had the worst starter every single time in these games. You don't want to start your Heatran ever. You don't want to start your Mewtwo and Mew against Eternatus. You want to start your Mewtwo and Mew against an Urshifu deck, but apparently I'm just never going to face an Urshifu deck. And I think it makes more sense to save the Crobat for next turn because I'm going to hopefully try and do a Welder play. So the problem here is that they can knock anybody out. They just need boss's energy. And the biggest target here is going to be the Victini. I think I think the smartest play is just putting all the energy on the Mewtwo and Mew. Let's put 2 on the Mewtwo and Mew and then 1 on Victini V. And the reason I'm doing that is because they need a lot to knock out the Mewtwo and Mew. They need a lot to do that. For the Victini V, they need a lot less. They can just poison the Victini V and then they only need, what, 5? I think they have it. 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180. So yeah, they just need a full bench. They knock out the Victini V. So the safest place for the energy is on the Mewtwo and Mew, but if they can get a Crobat, it doesn't really matter. They have Dark City. Okay, so unless they play Great Catcher, I'm totally fine. And if they do play Great Catcher, they still need, they need to find it. So that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but I think I'll be okay. I think maybe just the Volcanion is going to go down. If that happens, I should be okay. I can bosses the Eternatus V. And if I do that, that's actually not bad, because if I knock out the Eternatus V, they have to find another one. But I mean, that's probably going to happen. But, if I put the damage there, this is why Crushing Hammer is just in every deck these days, because you can just stop Eternatus so easily. So what do? I think... can I just knock this out? I would need 7 energy. No, I'd be 1 energy short. Okay, so for sure the Hearth is going down. They can knock out the Victini VMAX with Slowbro and a whole bunch of things. So do I just knock out the Slowbro? How many Slowbros is this deck playing? So I can do 220 on that. So if I bosses, and then I will have the knockout next turn on Eternatus VMAX with Hot Burn. So I think that actually makes sense, is that I will knock out the Galarian Slowbro. I'll draw some cards. That is pretty good. I don't think I need the Volcanion. It does 110. I think the Volcanion is the most expendable card right now. Yeah, I'll just get 1. Okay, so we retreat. We do max victory. So it's not exactly as streamlined as I would hope. This is, I've played, 4 or 5 games with this deck. So I'm still learning it. I still need to improve upon the list, but, it's a Welder deck. It's good. Is it as good as Centiskorch? I really like Centiskorch. That's the problem. I really like the Centiskorch deck. I think just not having to worry about, is your opponent's Pokemon a V or a GX? And there's another Slowbro, of course. Of course they just have it like that. So they can just take the knockout. That's not what I wanted to have happen. But, okay, there's the switch. And they're probably just going to have a Crobat. This is horrible. Okay, there's a research. That's actually better than Crobat. Oh, yep, here we go. They just need Dark City, and that's a knockout. So they literally had everything they needed every single time. So I think what I have to do... Oh! No, I can't do it. I was thinking if they don't get any Eternatus VMAX, if I just knock this out, I win. But, again, this is another instance where Big Charm would have helped. And they had a VMAX anyway, so that's not going to do it. Okay, so they got a full bench. Poison is going to be what takes it out. I guess I just attach to the... Can't really do anything there. I could put the Reshiram down. I think this is going to be a loss, so maybe Victini VMAX isn't quite here to stay. Dark City's down. They can just retreat. They don't have... I could put the Toxicroak, but that only has a 1 retreat cost. I don't think there's anything that I can do. I will try and... I guess just figure this out. So let's put that there. Give me the heat energy. That is not the heat energy. Okay, so Hearth goes down. Guess I thin that out. Do that. Okay. Is there anything that I can do to win this game? I don't think there is. Let's escape rope. Put up the Reshiram. Let's put up the Crobat. Nope, that's not a heat energy, and I attached that energy anyway, so that's yeah, because they got 2 prizes. They just need an energy, so that's a game. So yeah, Victini VMAX. I mean, maybe if I'd played one of the new Battle Styles decks, or if I'd played any other version of Eternatus that didn't have 2 Slowbro and it didn't just get everything it needed, I would have won. But is Victini VMAX better than Centiskorch VMAX? Early on, I would say no. I like Centiskorch more just because, yes, you need more energy to power it up, but it attaches energy to itself. It doesn't max out at 220. It has a little bit more HP. I just like it more, and maybe the list wasn't perfect. I think Fan of Waves is going to have to be in every fire deck, at least 1 copy in every fire deck, just to deal with the coating metal energy. Victini VMAX is good. I still think Centiskorch VMAX is better. If you've had your own Victini VMAX deck, share your list below. Let me know how it's going, but my final verdict after these few matches against 1 ADP deck and 2 Eterns VMAX decks is that Victini VMAX is not as good as Centiskorch VMAX, but it will be pretty good down the road when GXs are out of the format and it's just Vs and VMAXs, because Max Victory is a great attack for 2 energy. So I think post-rotation this gets better. Right now, Centiskorch is better. Thanks for watching. I will see you next time.